Today I'm going to cover the straddle press handstand, specifically the partial range press drill. Now this is one of the exercises that a lot of people set up incorrectly. So today I'm going to show you how to set it up correctly, and it will look actually something like this. So the lower the thing you're using to assist you in your press handstand, the closer together it should be. So the straddle press handstand starts with feet roughly shoulder width apart. We come forwards onto our hands, we put all our weight into our upper back and shoulders, we pass through straddle, and then we finish in our straight handstand at the top. So that's the goal with the concentric and the eccentric, the up and the down, to go through that pathway. And if you notice what happens when I go through the press handstand, my feet start in that position, but they gradually go out to the outside till I get to my widest part of the straddle, and then they start coming back in again and meet in the straight handstand. So for the partial range drill, you use something to raise your feet up and find the point where you can come up into the handstand, and then you slowly make whatever you're using height-wise lower and lower. But because we go out from that shoulder width position out to the side as our feet get higher, if we have this position incorrect and we either have this too close or too wide apart, it affects big time the height of the hip. So if I'm here, now the hip is low, makes me heavier. If I bring them closer together for this height, it gets the hip higher, and now I can float up. So I haven't changed the height of the block, all I've done is change the distance to fit with my limb length, my flexibility, my positioning, my strength, and my ability to push up into handstand, and that needs to fit you. So your setup is going to look something like this, depending on the height you need to use, your flexibility, so how close you can get your torso and your legs together and get the hip as high as possible, and the pathway of your straddle. Now, if you're newer to this drill, you're probably going to want to set it up so you have the wall for safety. So once you come off whatever you've got your feet on, you can catch yourself ideally in the freestanding handstand, but more than likely you're going to go up and over. So having the wall there works really well. So you can set up whatever you're using nice and close to the wall. So let's start with that first. So place the hands down on the floor. I'm going to have about 1 to 2 hand distances away from the wall. So I've got some space to play with. I'm going to step up onto the high surface. Try and get lots of weight into that upper back and shoulders first, and just feel what that distance is like. Push as hard as you can for the upper back and shoulders, and then see if you can go up, use the wall if you need to, and then ideally come back down through that range, find the surface again, and see if you can go up and down for repetitions. If it's easy, then we can start to play with going a little bit lower. Now, if I set something up like this with lots of different heights, I could do an eccentric press on the way down and just watch where my feet come to on the way down relevant to the height. So if I set the camera up where I've set the camera up now, come into this position, put my back against the wall, slowly come down through the range, you can see where my feet get to on the way down relevant to the height of whatever we're using. So next height for me is this one. So I'm going to go into that same position as we did close to the wall. I could move it close to the wall if I need that support. Come into that position, see if I can go from there up. I can, so that works out height-wise. It was easy, so I moved down to that next height. And then I can just keep gradually working down the heights, see if I can go up. If I get stuck, I could either try and bypass that height. Interestingly, some people get stuck maybe here, but they can do this one. Because the positioning, getting the hip in that nice sweet spot so you can float, is very hard or very tricky to get every time. And you might find if you bypass a height, you might just have a sticking point. So it's worth trying one down if you do get stuck at a certain height. Now, if it just doesn't feel right, fine tune this position. So bring them a little bit closer together or a little bit further apart. Step into them, see how that is for the up and ideally the down as well. And then just keep making your way down until you find the point where you can't get any further, and you can just do repetitions at the height of the one before where you could actually do it. And then eventually I can use one yoga block, because I can go shoulder width apart or just inside, hands on the floor. As soon as I go into the straddle, legs go around the outside, pass through the straddle into the handstand, come back down into that position. Now, I recommend if you are working partial range in your workout that you also do full range eccentrics, ideally freestanding or up against the wall. If you're interested in coaching, reach out on my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.